get it?
Yes, sir.
Well, let's get this thing. Let's get it rolling, baby.
Let's go.
Look around. Everybody here for a reason. No matter how you got here, you're here. Now to seize that opportunity, you know what you got to do? Compete. Give me a compete on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Stop it. Quitting was never an option. Exhausted. This passion is never exhausted. And you cannot stop it. Nah, you cannot stop it.
It's just the beginning. Watch it.
DC showcase was unbelievable. Can't wait to get to Florida to see the next crop of guys.
What is up, my friends? Oh, my camera is a little, there we go. What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Weekend Review. I am your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub, your spring football media guru. And on this week's show, the player showcase, latest announcements, and so much more. I've been away for a month. Not really. I was in Disney this past week, if you didn't see on the YouTube stream or on Twitter. I also, family stuff, and just kind of had a little epiphany when I was gone about where I should focus my energy on. We'll get into all that stuff and all the latest news in the XFL. I am happy, my friends. I am happy to be back. If you want to be part of the show, email podcast@XFL News Hub with your thoughts, or record an MP3 or video on your phone. We'll play it on next week's show. Voicemail is 888-430-7692, extension 3. And leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. We're on Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Spotify, Google Podcasts, their whole deal. And we are live, XFL Weekend Review, every Monday at 8 p.m. Unless I got a family thing, we'll start an hour later. That's what happened tonight. Or I'm going to switch it to Tuesdays. So we're always going to have a show. If we're not on Monday, we'll definitely be on Tuesday. No need to miss anything for a whole week because, holidays and that kind of thing. I really want to be kind of back in the game, so to speak. Got a little break. And our XFL timeline, we'll talk about November 2022 of the XFL draft. That will happen January 9th, 2023. You'll have XFL training camp begin, and the season kicks off February 18th, 2023. We are 243 days from XFL kickoff. So you're probably asking yourself, you're wondering, where were you? So last week I was in Disney. Oh, and make sure before we get started, all this stuff, make sure if you like football, then like and subscribe to this channel. Let's get this video to 60 likes as we've returned from a little hiatus. So last week I was in Disney with the family doing a little Disney vacation. And while we were there, took this picture out on the Twitters. We got my wife and I were at Epcot with the family. There's my lovely wife. Yes, she is a gorgeous lady there, and I am a schlub. So we got some Top Shelf margarita with Terramana tequila to celebrate the XFL Player Showcase with my wife at Epcot. So we got that at Epcot, and that's us at Epcot. She's got the nice Mickey ears on, and I've got my hat and not shaved and all sorts of stuff like that. I did have somebody ask me about my XFL hat, and I didn't really wear it a lot just because it was super hot. I love Disney. Everything about it. And, it was my mission to go to Disney to check it out to see if they're a good company to work with the XFL or not. I mean, their only market cap is $200 billion, and Fox, for example, is like 19. So I think it's a good partnership. Also, all this talk about ESPN and they want to ditch ESPN. According to the people that work at Disney, ESPN is a big money maker. So those people that bring that up and somehow ESPN is this dinosaur that is worthless, that's not what I hear. So you take that. So we're in Disney. Great time, Riviera Resort, DVC club members. If you want to learn about DVC, just hit me up. I'll tell you about it. It's great. And so we were there for a week, had family stuff. I had surgery, and then we had holidays, and I've been trying to do too much. And I think that was the problem. I kind of tell my kids this too. It's like, stick with one thing and be good at that, be great at that. And I was kind of like doing a CFL podcast and I'm doing a USFL podcast. And I'm like, I just can't do all these podcasts. Let me start right now. I have a full-time job and 6 kids. 2 are off. 3 will be off at college. And then we have my eldest daughters are, my other daughters, I should say, are going to grad. This is their senior year. And then we have one being a freshman in high school this year. So I'm like, I just can't, like, you know what I mean? Family first. And this is fun. And it was just becoming too much. So I'm focused on 100% of the XFL. Will I bring a USFL podcast? Sure. Probably next year we'll do that. But just for right now, focusing on that. Now, speaking of the USFL, they just finished their season. Congratulations to them. Hey, that's something that the AAF and the XFL did not do, regardless of where you sit. They didn't do that. I will be at the USFL championship game in Canton, Ohio on that July 3rd game. So we'll be there that weekend to hang out. So if you are going to the USFL championship game, you might see me there. I will not be wearing my XFL hat. I'll be wearing my USFL hat. I am not one of those people. I just want to point that out as well. So we got a ton of news that has happened since I've been gone. We have the coaches announcements. We have that. We have finally the showcases. And that was the thing that killed me. So the DC showcase was in College Park. I am not too far from College Park at the home offices of News Hub Publishing. I could have went to that, but I was in Disney. And then when I got home, they were in Florida. And I just got back so if it was the reverse, I could have went on Sunday. If they just flipped it, if they started in Florida, it would have been in DC, I would have been there. But I have not, but I have a feeling that some of our friends from XFL News Hub will be in attendance for some of these. Stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, I'll be at the USFL championship game supporting the league. I still would love to go out to Hamilton to see a Hamilton Tiger Cats game as well. But my focus, because this is the juice. You look at Reddit, the amount of people that follow XFL on Reddit is like 2 or 3 times what it is of the CFL and USFL. There's just more interest and juice in the XFL right now, and we're just going to ride that wave, and I'm super excited about it. So we'll get into the coaches, we'll get into your social media stuff, your phone calls, and so much more with my friends. So without further ado, I'm glad to be back. Plus, we'll talk to our friends in the chat room as well. So without further ado, folks, let's just get into the several weeks that were the XFL. So the XFL had its player showcase in DC and Florida this past weekend. We got some reactions from the coaches. So this is the first weekend of the XFL player showcases. They are complete. Over 500 players participated over the weekend in DC and Florida. Both events were sold out with a wait list. Anybody else that tells you otherwise does not know what they're talking about. Great pictures from the event. Fans have noted that if you notice on the pictures from the event that Under Armour, you got that big old Under Armour thing right on those pictures. This is the first time XFL coaches and players have met since the league shut down in 2020. It has been a long road to get back to this spot, my friends. I will tell you what, from bankruptcy to, shutting the world down, and we're finally back to having players on the field. Very excited to see that. Even Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson tweeted out, word on the street is these athletes are bringing it right now. Appreciate all our XFL 2023 athletes balling out. X equals intersection of dreams and opportunity. See y'all on the field. Hashtag XFL showcases. Pictures from the University of Maryland showcase. Danny Garcia was posting about it. Not only was Danny Garcia posting about it, she was actually there. That's right. She made an appearance at the IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, which would have been funny because I talked about maybe extending my trip and going there, but this didn't work out and things were last minute. So she was there as well, talking to the players. She said, quote, "Stay focused to the moment. Every moment matters." That's from Danny Garcia, XFL chairwoman and owner. And then, so she was there as well. Next up is Saturday, June 25th I'll go to this if the XFL wants to fly me out there. The June 25th showcase at McKinley High School, Honolulu, Hawaii. I'll stay at there's a great resort in Hawaii for Disney. I just want to point out that was The Rock's old high school, and he's expected to attend, and that event is sold out as well. Of course, The Rock talked about this, quote, "These showcases are an incredible opportunity for passionate players to show up and ball out for a chance to join the XFL," said Dwayne Johnson, owner. "The XFL is all about being at the intersection of dreams and opportunity. It is our goal to make football more accessible to more players, and our highly experienced team of coaches and personnel directors are ready to help these professional football dreams come true. The door is open for elite talent across the country to join the XFL, including my home state of Hawaii. I'm looking forward to seeing these players bringing their best and leaving it all out on the field." So Dwayne Johnson will be at the showcase in Hawaii this weekend. Then we get a little reprieve, and then we have more showcases on the way. If you want to know who has been at the showcase, our own Sam Just has a full list of all the showcase players. This is guys that have reached out to him and have said that they were attending. So you could see the list, their social media. All of this stuff is on XFL. We have links to it in the show notes. But definitely check out to see all the players who attended these events. I think in past, the XFL did put out who was at these events. They didn't do that in this one, the names and colleges. And this time, though, I think, hey, I know that they're listening. You should definitely put out who was there to give fans a chance to see and learn about some of these players interested in the XFL. Not all of them will make it, but definitely there's some names out there that fans should be interested in seeing. So the showcase season rolls on. This week it will be in Hawaii, and then we'll roll to Arizona and Dallas, Texas, and Las Vegas, and a whole bunch of other places. 4 more stops on the way for the XFL and its coaches. So we have some news on the XFL draft. It's taking place in November 2022. Some more supplemental draft details and so much more. So Neil Stratton of Inside the League, ITL, recently got some questions answered by XFL Senior Vice President of Player Personnel Doug Whaley, including when the XFL draft will take place, news about the player draft pool, and showcases. So Whaley tells Stratton that the XFL draft will take place in November of 2022. Novak Kicking and Consulting will be running a specialist showcase in San Diego, California on Sunday, October 23rd. Then we expect the draft to take place in early October. Last time go around, the XFL 2020 draft took place on October 15th and 16th of 2019. So this is going to be later on in the cycle. They must have learned something from the last time. And then they maybe thought maybe we could get some more NFL guys in this draft pool if we kind of push it back further. So that's the plan, early November. I would say the first week or two in November to knock this out of the park. The plan is for the XFL training camps to begin in January 4th, 2023. In 2019, mini camps for individual teams at their home locations took place in December. Not sure if that's going to take place again. To have the draft in November, guys get together in the home locations, but clearly because we're all playing in Dallas, they might just skip that altogether to save money. We haven't heard anything about that. We'll keep you posted on that. Then all the teams travel to Houston for their big camp in January. So no word on whether the XFL 3-point era will do the same thing or have camp only in Dallas in January. Though they are watching what happened with the USFL and this play that kind of really took a couple weeks to kind of kick in. They might want to reconsider doing something in December. How they do that, we will just have to find out. Even if it was just a week long, or at least they're meeting together, we'll have to know more about that later. Where they also said that XFL player personnel will not only be using the player showcase to evaluate talent, but also will be at NFL training camps. Quote, "With the help of our scouting consultants Inside the League and FBX Change, we are able to identify the top free agent players for inclusion into the player draft pool. XFL League and team personnel executives have been evaluating players for months via college pro game video. Our personal team will also attend NFL training camps to evaluate players who may be released in early September. I do not think the XFL, and this is because of their partnership, I don't remember XFL talent evaluators being in NFL camps. That to me seems like something new, but I could be wrong about that. I don't remember them being in NFL camps, but they could have. But I don't see why they would. It's not like CFL guys are allowed in NFL camps. Furthermore, as is customary in football scouting, our personnel team monitors the waiver wire of other leagues as players are released. Well, all that being said, in-person evaluations at the showcases remains critical component of our building a robust player draft pool. They also talked about multiple supplemental drafts taking place before the XFL season begins. So the player draft pool will be completed a week before the draft. We are planning to hold a supplemental draft or drafts as more players become available in January, December, and January. That is also something to keep an eye on. We did have a supplemental draft, but they are keeping that option open for as more guys in that January, December timeframe can get added to rosters as the NFL season comes to a close. Whaley also says where the players played his college ball will have no bearing on what team he'll be on. That was kind of an AAF thing, I believe. It's territorial. So he said there's no territorial or college rights in the XFL. Agents may contact team personnel and coaches directly to discuss their players. In the newsletter thing, they also go on to discuss if players need an agent, CFL players, and the size of the draft pool and more. You definitely want to check out. We have a link in the article. But the main thing is you're getting in the XFL draft in November of 2022. And right after the specialists. And we could get a supplemental draft or two as we go further. The XFL announced key football hires and coaching staffs for its 8 teams. So as we build to the road to 3 kickoff in February, we have some more details on the coaching staffs and player personnel. So the XFL today announced it's hired key front office and coaching staff for its 8 teams as it continues to build an elite, experienced football operations team. In addition to its head coaches, each team has added a director of player personnel, DDP, not the wrestler, offensive coordinator, OC, and defensive coordinator, DC, to its staff, some of whom are returning after serving in the league in 2020. The DDPs and coaching staff will actively scout potential players and help build their team in preparation for the XFL draft in November 2022 and season kickoff on Saturday, February 18th, 2023. All names and head coaches pairings can be found below. Quote, "It is exciting to have both new and returning names joining our growing league. For me, this is a clear signal that the reimagined XFL, guided by the innovative vision of our new ownership group, has the potential to make a positive impact on the entire football ecosystem. People want to be part of building this new league of opportunity for players and coaches alike," said Russ Brandon, president of the XFL. As we gear up for a busy summer of scouting events, we are encouraged to see the continued interest in our league from players, which has been reflected in the strong demand and registration for our upcoming showcases. We expect this momentum to continue, especially as we get closer to our draft in November. Starting this month, the XFL will host a series of player showcases in 6 cities across the United States, giving prospective football players a chance to exhibit their skills. DDPs will attend all the showcases along with some of the XFL's head coaches who were previously announced in April of 22. Doug Whaley, Senior Vice President of Player Personnel, added, "Our DDPs bring a lot of experience and knowledge to the XFL. They understand the quality of players we are looking for and have a keen eye for talent. We are glad to have them joining the XFL and are eager for them to help build our teams and league from the ground up." Quote, "I'm thrilled to officially welcome our OCs and DCs to the XFL individually and collectively. These are tremendous coaches and true leaders whose expertise will be crucial not only for the success of their teams, but for the dynamic football product we will deliver to fans," said Mark Ross, Executive Vice President of Football Operations. So the XFL will kick off February 18th, 2023 in partnership with its new exclusive broadcast partner, the Walt Disney Company and ESPN. Good guys to be along with. So here you go. Here are your coaches. So head coach Reggie Barlow He has Vaughn Hutchins, Fred Cass, and Greg Williams. That's right, the Greg Williams from the NFL. He will be the defensive coordinator. Anthony Becht will have David Bowler, Bruce Gradkowski, and Nathan Donnie Abraham as his defensive coordinator. David Bowler was with the XFL in 2020. Terrell Buckley will have Larry Lee as his DDP, Robert Ford, and Tony Carter round out his staff. Jim Haslett will have Randy Mueller from the XFL, and June Jones, who had let it out like a month or two ago. We reported on that. June Jones returns to the XFL with the as the OC, and then Ron Zook is defensive coordinator for Jim Haslett. Head coach Wade Phillips, he's got Mark Lillibridge, AJ Smith as his offensive coordinator, and Brian Stewart. AJ Smith is returning. Bob Stoops, of course, is returning. Rick Mueller is his DDP, but Jonathan Hayes, everybody wanted Jonathan Hayes to return, and Jay Hayes. So Jonathan Hayes will be the offensive coordinator. Jay Hayes will be the defensive coordinator. So exciting to see Jonathan Hayes, a fan favorite, returning to the XFL with Bob Stoops. 100% pretty much Dallas will be that location for him. And so Jonathan and Jay Hayes return. Hines Ward, he will get a DDP in Will Lewis. His offensive coordinator is Jamie Elizondo, who is both those two guys are returning to the XFL, and Jim Herman also. So 3 veteran guys for Hines Ward and his team. Jamie Elizondo, who did well as the offensive coordinator in Tampa when he was given the reins, but then his stint with the Elks did not go so well. So it's good to see Jamie Elizondo back to kind of prove himself. And then Rod's Woodson staff, his DDP is Joey Click-Scales, who is also returning to the XFL, but no OC or DC announced for Rod Woodson's team. So there you have it. Barlow, Buckley, Wade Phillips, Hines Ward, Anthony Becht, Jim Haslett, Bob Stoops, Rod Woodson round out the coaches and their staff. So we've got guys like Jamie Elizondo, Randy Mueller, June Jones, Jonathan Hayes, and Jay Hayes all returning to the XFL in 2023. It should be interesting. We're still waiting on official word on which coach will be in which city. We're still waiting for that, and uniforms and announcements when it comes to team names. We keep hearing that August is the time frame for that June 1st thing is out there, but this at least gives us some more players. And next week at this time, we will have player showcase events taking place. So we'll see who of these coaches show up for that. Make sure you like and smash that subscribe button, like this video, so we can get it out to more people, that they realize that not only is the XFL coming back, but the Walt Disney Company and ESPN will be providing coverage for it. So stay tuned with XFL News Hub for all your XFL news. XFL founder Vince McMahon steps aside as WWE CEO after hush money allegations. So massive news. You had the XFL Player Showcase underway, but the former XFL owner and creator of the XFL is in the middle of an investigation from the board of directors of the WWE for alleged misconduct by himself and John Laurinaitis, the head of talent relations. The Wall Street Journal broke the news Wednesday afternoon of the $3 million hush pact with a former employee who he was involved with an affair. The non-disclosure agreement between the employee and Vince McMahon that was signed back in January of this year prevented her from discussing her relationship or making any derogatory remarks towards Vincent Kennedy McMahon, according to the article published by the Wall Street Journal. So effectively, immediately, he steps aside as CEO. The corporate website posted in a joint press release from WWE and the board of directors on the situation that Vince McMahon has voluntarily stepped back from his responsibilities as CEO, effective at once chairman of the board until the conclusion of the investigation. He will, though, continue his role creatively with the WWE in decision-making on the television product itself, but is still committed to cooperating with the review process, which is currently underway. That's the whole part. That's the part that he's got to get away from. Totally. Didn't they just get rid of Sasha Banks? I covered the WWE for years. That's how I got involved with the XFL, and I couldn't stand the product. And NXT was fantastic, and then he took that over too and ruined it. The one thing he needs to move aside from, without a doubt, and he's still doing that. Great. The Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday that the WWE boards of directors received an email on March 30th that alleged Vince McMahon hired a 41-year-old employee as a paralegal with a salary of $100,000, but then increased the pay to $200,000 after a little you-know-what relationship with her. The email then went on into detail how he gave her like a toy. That's quote to John Laurinaitis, along with numerous additional misconduct allegations towards Laurinaitis as well. I believe John Laurinaitis married the wife or the Bella twins' mother. Also, that makes some interesting stuff. Since the investigation started and uncovered that older NDNAs involved different claims by former female employees of misconduct by the CEO, Vince McMahon. Oh, there's more. W has begun and kept its story that the relationship between the two was consensual despite Vince McMahon being married to Linda McMahon. She is a former head of the Small Business Administration during Donald Trump's presidential term. Yeah, I didn't think really they had anything going on there. Also, it's interesting to point out that the special committee appoints daughter of Vince McMahon, Stephanie, as interim CEO and interim chairwoman. That was interesting because she stepped aside to do family stuff, and now she's back because I bet you that was the family stuff that she stepped aside for. Maybe she's pissed off at her dad, but clearly she worked there. Like, people would know this stuff. As Stephanie McMahon's tweet explains, the special committee in charge of the investigation named her as serve as interim CEO and chairwoman until the investigation wraps up. Vince McMahon has said he's pledged to complete cooperation with the investigation, will accept the findings and outcome of the investigations no matter what they end up being. WWE and its board of directors are taking the situation and all different allegations of misconduct very seriously, and with independent directors of the board have brought in independent legal, the human resources, blah, blah, blah. So this all comes down. Then you have what's going on with a settlement with Oliver Luck, because they today announced, well, it came out today that Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon settled out of court before their July trial. So this was happening. So according to Ben Fisher of Sports Business Journal, the Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon termination suit has been settled out of court. Terms of the settlement are not known at this time. They apparently had met for 9 minutes, and then that was it. And then we didn't hear anything. And then all of a sudden, maybe they met for 9 minutes to basically agree on this. We didn't know. So, quote, the settlement was referred to in a filing by Luck's attorney, Paul Dombrowski, on Friday, seeking a judicial order permanently sealing records in the case. Many have already been sealed under a resolution. The parties reached an agreement to resolve the case on June 16th, 2022, Dombrowski wrote. The case has been slated to go to a jury selection on July 11th. McMahon's lawyer, Jerry McDivitt, does not oppose the motion. So that's what it said. So the motion reads, pursuant to D-Con whatever, plaintiff Oliver Luck moves to continue to seal after the resolution of this case all material previously ordered sealed by the court. For the reasons stated in the accompanying memorandum of law, Mr. Luck respectively requests the court to grant this motion. The defendants do not oppose this motion, wherefore Mr. Luck respectively moves this court to continue to seal after the resolution of this case all material ordered sealed by the court with such other and further relief of the blah, blah, blah. So last week, Vince McMahon stepped down, and we just talked about him as WWE chairman and CEO amid a company allegation. The settlement was a day before Vince made his final appearance on SmackDown. Well, for now. So the Oliver Luck, Vince McMahon saga is over. Vince McMahon has got his own things to worry about. It's just the timing of everything between the Wall Street Journal thing dropping and then now him settling this, and now he's got to deal with other problems. So Oliver Luck is most likely getting paid. We might not ever find out how much Luck got, but clearly it wasn't $5. He got more than that. He was owed around $24 million, and we covered this story, and I'm so glad that this is basically over now, and we don't have to cover it anymore. So Oliver Luck and Vince McMahon settled out of court. They wished each other well in future endeavors, and there you have it. The end of the XFL 2.0 era is over, and now everything is closed. It's still bankruptcy stuff going on, but for the most part, it is closed, and now we're on to the 3.0 era. The XFL announces a partnership with Breakaway Data, an innovative high-performance sports company. Okay, sounds cool. The XFL announced a partnership with Breakaway Data, a high-performance sports company that leverages cutting-edge technology and data insight to help athletes and coaches optimize performance, training, recovery, and player health. The XFL will utilize Breakaway's full suite of products and advisory services, including its athlete data software, Breakaway mobile app, player biomechanics assessment, Field Labs, and its athlete management system, Stacks, to enhance the XFL players' development and technology strategy. Interesting. The XFL will also use Breakaway's technology at its upcoming showcases. Will take place in 6 cities across the U.S. that started recently. Here's the video of it. So that's basically it, the Breakaway Data. So Breakaway will serve as an extension of the XFL's enterprise technology team, helping formulate and build a comprehensive next-generation player data strategy. This includes an advisory role in evaluating and onboarding new football tech partners to align with football operations. As part of this relationship, Breakaway will build new products fueled by player data that will strengthen player development, empower peak athletic performance, and unlock unique fan engagement experiences. This has all sounded like a bunch of corporate chatter. And a lot of this stuff is like unique fan experiences, and then it's like nothing that anyone really cares about. But I'm interested. Quote, Breakaway is an industry leader in sports data, using best-in-class technology to turn intangibles into measurables and leverage those findings to improve and enhance the player development cycle from scouting through game time, said Russ Brandon, XFL president. The XFL has always been an innovative league, and we're continuing to invest in the latest technologies to further enhance the game of football. The ability to use player data efficiently and effectively presents a huge opportunity for us. We are looking forward to working with Breakaway and exploring new ways to enhance our innovation initiatives across our league. Close quote. The interesting thing about this is that they're giving, and I don't know what it measures or whatever, but to give players feedback on these like measurables and ways to continue to be a better player. So could you imagine a player getting their Breakaway data and then not making the XFL, but clearly like, their vertical or their speed or whatever, there's some things missing from their game that kind of push them down the line. They can go away and work on it for a year and then come back and get measured again and maybe have a chance. I think which I think is great, giving people, other than just, do the same thing they've been over and over again. And here are the things to work on so that you might get another shot at the league. So at the XFL Players Showcase Series, the Breakaway will organize high-tech position-specific drills for highlight athletes' strengths and their abilities to execute real football moves in game time-like situations. All prospects who participate in the showcases will have their biomechanics data automatically upload into the Breakaway mobile app. Quote, as a league, we are committed to putting athletes first and setting them up for success both on and off the field, said Doug Whaley. Athletes should have full access to their data. With Breakaway's technology, all XFL players will be able to track their performance and progress in one place. So I think that's cool. Players who make XFL rosters will have performance data continually uploaded into their Breakaway app, which can log data from any source leading up to and throughout the season. XFL teams will organize performance data using Breakaway's athlete management system, Stacks, which connects to the apps and gives players and coaches a modern engagement, development, and a communication tool. Very cool. The data we collect for athletes in the Breakaway app is their personal scoreboard to measure progress and get the most of them every day, said Breakaway Data CEO Dave Anderson. The age of athlete data ownership is long overdue. It's fitting that the XFL League, known for its innovation, is now giving players the ability to look deep within themselves and understand everything about their performance through this lens. It's a new way of doing things, a better way of doing things. So very cool Breakaway Data stuff. We should try to have somebody on from Breakaway Data. The high-performance company not only collects biomechanics and athletics, forms of data. Breakaway is utilized by Power 5 football programs, NFL MVPs, Super Bowl champions, NBA All-Stars, Olympic gold medalists, pro and D1 athletes, Elite 11, Under Armour Next, and those who desire to be elite. Notice Under Armour uses them as well. Interesting. Just throwing that in there. So there you go. Another innovative thing that the XFL is bringing, and also giving the data to their players so that they can use it to further their career. Sounds like a win to me. XFL partners with Connect Partnership Group for corporate sales and partnerships. So the XFL announced it has selected Connect Partnership Group as its sponsorship sales agency, working together to enhance and execute the league's comprehensive corporate partnership strategy. Quote, the partnership builds upon the momentum of the XFL's refreshed brand vision. Under new ownership, opens the door for attractive new opportunities to co-create with partners and brands to share our passion for innovation and excellence. That's from Russ Brandon. President Jordan Slechter, Chief Business Officer, will lead the league's commercial efforts to create mutual beneficial and immersive partnerships between leading brands in the XFL. All right. We're talking partnerships with, the Fan Control Football had a lot of partnerships in their league. So I could see this. I guess this is where this is headed. He will lead the Connect collaboration, effectively linking data analytics, creativity, strategy, and sales under one umbrella, and create a turnkey commercial value proposition for the league, its brand partners, and its new exclusive broadcast partner, Walt Disney. Yeah, Disney and ESPN. Oh, by the way, I have a lightsaber too. I got one. My mom bought it for me. Yeah. I'm 40-something-year-old. My mom bought me a lightsaber. Quote, the XFL provides brands with an opportunity to partner with a purpose and culture-driven football league in new, innovative ways not yet seen before in professional sports. Yeah, I like that. Connect has the proven expertise, track record, and relationship to visualize this unique opportunity for partners. We look forward to continuing our relationship in even more valuable ways for all. That's what Schlechter says. And Connect is excited to again earn the XFL's trust as their partnership sales and strategy teammates. So these are back. Our brand partners love the value proposition in 2020, and our commercial offerings will now be even more powerful with the XFL's new ownership group in combination with Disney and ESPN's energy, passion, and storytelling driven the league forward. We already receive overwhelming positive feedback from brands, which adds to our excitement for co-creation and growth. This is another partnership that they had last time. It sounds like another good connection. So the partner for corporate sales and partnerships. So now it is time to start dropping some knowledge, which if they're going to do this kind of partnership stuff, if I'm a big box brand that I want to know where the team's located, what are the team names, and all that kind of stuff. So could that be in the works? That's what I'm saying in August. For the team names, I think we get to the showcases, and then we'll get into that stuff in August. Not right now. This is kind of, especially June and July, are kind of a dead zone when it comes to sports and news, as everybody's not really paying attention. But we always pay attention on XFL News Hub. XFL co-owner Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson respects CFL Argos owner Larry Tenenbaum. This was kind of interesting. So finally, after the CFL offseason passed, it's 3 down versus 4 down, FUD chatter. The CBA is signed. The season is underway. All seemed well in the Canadian Football League. Before the season started, MLSE chairman Larry Tenenbaum talked to the Globe and Mail about various topics, including the CFL. Tenenbaum is rumored to be high on the XFL-CFL partnership/merger talks. MLSE owns the CFL's Toronto Argonauts. They also own the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NHL, the Toronto Raptors of the NBA, the Toronto Marlies of the AHL, and the Toronto FC of MLS. All these franchises have gone up in value since MLSE has purchased them. The Argos have not. When asked about the current CFL business model and prospects, he said, quote, the community-owned teams seem to be satisfied with what's happening in the CFL, so we're working to see how the Argos fit into that scenario. I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with the structure of the league. My concern is in the major cities of Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver, it's not attracted the younger fan engagement. You look at value creation and, quite unfortunately, these teams are not worth that much money. The hockey, basketball or soccer teams are trading at hundreds of millions of dollars, in some cases billions of dollars. And you see the Argos, a 106-year-old league, technically no. It was a rugby league. It was in the 60s it turned to football. Whatever. And what value creation are these franchises trading at? You got to look at that and say, is that success? They didn't pull any punches on that one, my friends. Now, there has been rumors that the Argonauts could jump to the XFL or MLSE would sell the team and start a new one with the XFL. Again, he's basically said to Toronto, I mean, talk about all the sports franchises out there go up in value, but a lot of the CFL teams do not. That is a fact, people. Deal. XFL chairwoman and co-owner Danny Garcia has repeatedly mentioned that the XFL 3.0 era is looking to go global. The XFL and CFL formally announced their talks were underway in March of 2021. Those talks were held under tight wraps with NDAs. XFL News Hub heard about the talks in February. Later, we learned that those talks began months earlier in October. They talked for a long time. These two sides talked about everything under the sun, we were told. Larry Tannenbaum was very much interested in shaking things up with the XFL. There's a mutual respect for both MLSE and the XFL sides with Garcia, The Rock, and Redbird Capital. TSN insider Dave Naylor was asked about Tannenbaum's comments in a recent radio appearance. CFL News paraphrased his remarks. He said, Naylor says Tannenbaum's comments were aimed more at differing opinions about XFL option and joining forces with The Rock and 4-down North American football. Tannenbaum sees it one way. The league went in another direction. That was a quote. To the surprise of fans, The Rock was paying attention and he chimed in. Because Dave Naylor says not to be grammar police, but it's to whom, I guess, talking about the CFL. Somebody in that thread posted that. The Rock chimes in, said, love the grammar citation, which I have received many over the years. Larry was a great partner and advocate who I found to be a gutsy visionary who saw an amazing opportunity to grow the game of football that we all love in a very exciting and electrifying way for the fans. Interesting, he puts all the fans, like Larry was doing this for the fans to grow the game. It was just very random that The Rock would chime in on this stuff. What does it all mean? Probably nothing more than admiration and working with Tannenbaum from Dwayne Johnson. That's probably all. But if you haven't figured it out by now, nothing put in the press or social media doesn't have some sort of thought or strategy behind it. All we're saying, this is something to keep an eye on the months ahead. So we follow, if you go to CFL News Hub, we follow the CFL all season long. Over there, working on CFL fantasy football as well. So we want success for the CFL league as a whole, but it seems like there's like the prairie teams versus these like big city owners. Could they actually do something? Could the Argos leave the CFL and go to? A lot of it is nothing can happen anytime soon. The only thing to keep an eye on, if they're going to make Argos are going to make a jump or a change in ownership or something, it's going to have to take place around the time when the television deal is up for grabs. So if the Argos are looking to jump ship, it's either going to be before or Larry Tannenbaum is, and you look at all they've had success with all their franchises. The CFL is the only one. And people are like, oh, we just have to spend more money on marketing. That's just no. There's just something's missing, and we're just going to keep an eye on this thing because I thought for sure this CFL chatter would go away, and it has not. So just stay tuned, my friends. We'll see if anything comes to this, but we just wanted to kind of put that on your radar. So XFL cities are getting close. The XFL shop had some hidden city section. So XFL fans have been patiently waiting for news on the XFL cities. The June 1st rumor was a dud, but we've gotten new hire partnership news this week, and the XFL team personnel have come out. XFL superfan Brian sent this tidbit along. Looks like there's a new section, or there was, on shop.xfl.com. The 2023 cities had its label, but it was not live yet. And now if you go to the site, it says page not found anymore. But it was there. We took pictures of it. And our own XFL insider, Mike Mitchell, has reported the cities are San Antonio, Washington, St. Louis, Seattle, Orlando, Las Vegas, Houston, and Dallas. And you could see from the picture, the apparel, you could see Las Vegas, Seattle, Washington, basically everything except for Dallas was, and it was kind of like a scrolly thing, GIF, was changing things. This was the image that it had. So you could see from the website, well, you could all but Dallas was listed. No products are listed, but expected something. I mean, would you buy your team's city's T-shirt without the logo? So just remember this: in the lead up of 2020, the 2020 season, the XFL did the same thing with their merchandise. T-shirts had the city names only on it. We have two of them. So as noted, it looks like the XFL 3.0 era is following the same playbook. This would fall in line with the city's release first, getting fans excited and buying into the merch, and then drop the team names and colors and logos in August, just before school year hits and the NFL season begins. Expect to see these looks maybe in June and July player showcases. We haven't seen anything yet. My guess, if I was the XFL, is drop the cities maybe in July. I mean, we talked about logos and everything in March. But if you go, but clearly they read because we discovered it. There has been no official announcement of the XFL cities, but you can see like the old stuff here. They cleaned it up. There was an NFT thing on there that's not there anymore. So you could see kind of the same. This is kind of old stuff. The league collection, kind of seeing behind the scenes. So there's nothing there. The next shoe to drop from the XFL is definitely the cities. Remember, like I said, there has been no official announcement of the XFL cities. We kind of all know what they are at this point. Maybe they're just finalizing some things. Do we get city names in July and then the teams in August? Give a month. Are they going to try to drop something after the USFL's championship game or the week of this USFL's championship game? That, my friends, is going to be interesting to find out. We'll have to wait and see. The XFL names Troy Brown as Vice President of Security and Operations. So the XFL announced Troy Brown was joined the league as Vice President of Security and Operations. Brown will manage all operations and activities of the XFL security department across league headquarters, practice facilities, and team venues. Brought to Russ Brandon, president of the XFL, so a guy with a bunch of stadium experience. Brown brings 30 years of security, stadium operation, crowd management in the XFL. Prior to the league, Brown spent 8 seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Oh, I can make comments there, and I won't. Where he was responsible for day-to-day operations at First Energy, ensuring compliance. So it's interesting that they basically had a guy come out to do security. I mean, they are spending a lot of money on all these positions. They're clearly all in, and they clearly know what to do. And now the criticism from the USFL fans is like, yo, you're spending too much money. I don't know if they have a president of security and operations because they only play in one building, so they don't really have to do that. The XFL seems like they are all in, and these are like positions that I wouldn't even think of that you would need to pay some dude, but apparently he is in charge of that. So they are all in. The bottom line is is the XFL going to burn through so much money that they're going to be like, that's it? Or is the USFL going to be the proper business model? We'll find out. Also, XFL names Lisa Feinberg as Senior Vice President of Ticketing. So we'll lead the planning and development of XFL's ticket sales, services. Lisa Feigenbaum, she will lead the XFL's ticket sales, service operations on both the league and each of the 8 team markets. She will report to Janet Dutch, Chief Marketing and Content Officer. Lots of experience, including in the role, Fein will develop and oversee a full suite of ticket products, including season memberships. So you'll get your season tickets, group tickets, cool, premium individual game tickets, also managing pricing, packaging, and retention strategies. She will also be responsible for measuring the effectiveness of ticket sales and service-related technology tools, as well as discovering new technologies to improve overall results. Work to identify key partnerships to assist the development of new distribution opportunities, drive revenue growth. work closely with the league's marketing team to develop go-to-market strategies and implement all ticket sales and retention-driven stuff. So she's got experience with the Dallas Wings, Panther City Lacrosse Club, where she served as executive vice president and chief strategy officer. Lots of experience there. So you have ticketing person, security person. The XFL is all in. If you didn't think they were all in, they are all in. And all of these positions, to me, is fascinating. You didn't even think, but all these people that they're hiring, at the senior level, down, and it is go time, my friends. We are going to have a 2023 season for the XFL, and get ready and get excited. All right, we'll take a commercial break and we'll be back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
Coming up this week on the Markcast, it is BC Lions season. America's CFL team here. I have my BC Lions hat on, talking all sorts of CFL. We also have your USFL Week 10 preview, XFL stuff as well. We have a stacked 5-guest lineup this week. First and foremost, Greg Parks, longtime friend of the show from XFL Board, who is a new friend of the show. Greg is literally probably driving to the XFL Florida Showcase as you listen to this episode. Lots of new XFL stuff to break into with Greg.
All these partnerships that are advantageous to players, such as the one the XFL announced today, that's something that, when you have that scale of USFL, XFL, it's something that players and agents can put on the XFL side, and the XFL hopes it'll weigh more in their favor when these players and agents are deciding which way to go.
We are America's premier CFL podcast. We are talking BC Lions, CFL Week 2, everything else. We have Tim Baines of the Ottawa Sun coming on the program.
To see the Red Blacks team that won just 3 games a year ago go toe-to-toe with the defending Grey Cup champions, and we get a rematch of that this week with Ottawa.
And then Keon Hatcher, one of the stars of the BC Lions route of the Edmonton Elks last Saturday for their home opener at BC Place.
The crowd came out and they had it electrifying out there, man. It was a really good night. It was fun, and it's one to remember for sure.
Then we're still talking USFL stuff. Week 10, we have USFL historian Paul Reese stopping by the show.
I think the main takeaway, particularly after the mid-season meltdowns of the Alliance of American Football and XFL 2.0, is that we're at the final week.
And then Coach Craig of Coach Craig Sports gives his thoughts about the USFL all-team, whatever that's called, previewing the weekend's games, talking USFL playoffs and more.
When we watched the XFL, there was guys, Jordan Teamo, PJ Walker, and Josh Johnson kind of took over where they were the 3 higher-up guys. We didn't really see that quite as much with the USFL, and even like in the case of Jordan Teamo, I think he actually probably played worse in the USFL than he did in the XFL.
A little under the weather this week. Hope we're all getting through this together. Thank you guys for your support.
All right, my friends, we are back. Remember to smash. We only got 19 likes. We got to get to 60. If you're sitting there watching this program, smash that like button, my friends. Smash that like button and be part of the show. Appreciate that. On to our friends in the chat room. Gloria says, love the XFL. Mr. Be Great. That's a great name. I was at the DC Showcase. Y'all be hearing my name soon. He said, I was in the video. Very cool. Congratulations there, Mr. Be Great. Hopefully we get to see you on the XFL field. Kevin Davis, how are you? How are you? I am doing very well. I'm super excited about people smashing the like button. Super excited about Disney and the things that are going on with the XFL. You can see, they are hiring people. It goes down. Who is going to last? Are they going to burn through? But Vince McMahon had money. Redbird Capital has got a lot more money. They own a lot more valuable things. So we'll see about that. He says, dude, Philip says, I just got back from Disney myself. Hey, we could have passed each other. Freaking Star Wars, Rise of the Resistance, awesome Star Wars land. We basically my brother and my son are super Star Wars nerds. I actually just finished Clone Wars Season 6. So I'm excited about Season 7. Just nerding out hard. All right, you want to see? So all right. So I did get a lightsaber. So you can see here, I didn't even open it up. I got the Luke Skywalker lightsaber. Got to do that. We are in the process, hold on, let me put this down. There you have it. So we're in the process of getting together a new studio. That is the summer project. So you're not going to see my grill all up in your face, but you'll actually, very professional looking studio we're working on. And my lightsaber will be prevalent in that little studio that we coming up. The better lighting, all this kind of stuff. So we're working on that as well. But it was a great time. Guardians of the Galaxy, fantastic ride. But the immersion of, Disney just takes things to a different level. I love Disney. And it was so great because I'm a super fan of The Rock. I've always liked The Rock from his, when I was in college watching him in WWE with Stone Cold Steve Austin and, watching his success. And I went to see, The Mummy where he was in it for like 5 seconds. I was like, oh my God, that's The Rock. He was in a movie. And then seeing, the other movie he was in with that. And then basically watching all his movies before he was involved with the XFL. To have him and then with Disney and ESPN. I'm not a fan of ESPN. I've always made that perfectly clear. But I am a super fan of Disney. My wife loves Disney. I love Star Wars and the Avengers. So have all my worlds collide in one thing is awesome. And I was just saying, oh my gosh, could you imagine at ESPN Zone or somewhere in the park, they just had the small little XFL section where you could be this, just some kind of football immersion with the XFL as part of the backdrop of it. Off the charts. Imagine you can have me, like you go on the XFL ride and you can, all of a sudden my face pops up, like the Guardians popped up or Glenn Close popped up. And the other guy, he's not even part of the Guardians, but he was on there. He was on Brooklyn 911 or whatever it's called, Brooklyn 99. His name escapes me. Tell me in the chat. But just imagine, it would just be awesome, awesome. So Pip 2023 is excited for the XFL. USFL has fizzled out. I'll be honest. I mean, I'm excited to go to the game. I'm excited to go to Canton, Ohio. I haven't heard of any halftime show, though they're doing like a halftime show between the two games. Word on the street is that they're going to come out with a second season. I hope they do a little bit more. I'd be more excited if they do a little bit more. But frankly, I mean, I was really interested in fan control football more than what was kind of going on with the USFL. There's just some kind of juice that's missing. I don't know what it is. OO says, I'm really excited for the XFL season. Mandor says, USFL took all the best players. XFL is going to be, he used that term, woke. Is it me? Do I find people that use the term woke are racist? Is that even a thing? I don't even understand what woke is, but it's just people use it all the time. And I'm like, it makes me cringe when I see that word because it's so like, I'm a political person and miserable. Jeff says the original USFL in 1983 had a college territorial draft. I thought maybe that I was always interested and found that thing kind of, found something like that as kind of interesting, but I'm glad they're not doing that. Let's see what else we have here. Chris says, I want to name the Japanese team to be the Samurais. Okay. Honolulu Hawaiians. Let's see. Philip says, wrestling is fake. I mean, these guys have some serious injuries. I mean, it is scripted, but certainly I respect the athleticism, especially of the newer generations. Just watch AEW and see some of those guys. What's my guy over here? Oh. Check out Ray Phoenix and don't tell me he's superhuman and wrestling is fake. Gloria says, I really hope the XFL will have Houston team again and again. Call it out, the Houston Roughnecks, like it was before you know what. Darren says, cities, team names, logos, and uniforms announced on July 2nd. Stealing the USFL title game Thunder. That's my thing. Maybe they do that with the with dropping the cities. Dropping the cities before July 4th. Maybe do they do that or do they wait? To me, it'll be a total. some of this stuff has not been a shot at the USFL, and they'll pretend that they're not paying attention. But to drop the city names, I've just seen it. I mean, just to be honest, I've seen the interest even in the media is more there with the XFL than USFL has, because the problem is Fox owns the USFL. And that, to me, as much as the people within the USFL think that's an asset, I think it is a liability, because why would any of the other programs like ESPN, even though they're with NBC, why would they bother covering it? And there's people like myself that are not I love Family Guy, and Fox Sports is meh, but the brand is kind of yucky, if I would say. Houston will have a team. Not sure about the Houston Roughnecks. Coach Simmons says, we in here. All right. Sock Speed Sex, damn, I'm late. That's okay. I'm actually kind of late. I'm the one that's kind of late. There you go. There. And there we go there. Charlie says, outside of St. Louis, what would be your idea cities? I think the cities that they have now are good. Interesting that they're going to get rid of LA and New York. That intrigues me. I really got to go international. That would be a huge thing. And you can't do it this year or next year, but I would love to see what they have cooking, what the Rock's got cooking as far as that global thing. Putting a team in Mexico and a team in Toronto would be off the charts, but that can't happen in the first year. Philip says, Luke's Sabre is an awesome call. I got the X-Wing pilot helmet. Rise of the Resistance ride was sick. Smuggler's Run was insane. I agree. Everything across the watching, the stormtroopers harass my kids. The stormtroopers didn't harass me because they knew who I was. Stormtroopers did not harass me at Disney World, but they even harassed my mom, who's 75 years old. They asked her if she knew where the Rebel thing was, and she said something to them, and he shook his head. I have a video of it. It's pretty funny. Greg says, is the MLFB legit? They say they're playing in August. They have coaches. They have cities. The interesting thing about MLFB is they're playing in the cities where their teams are. The USFL, but again, the USFL, it's just a different business model, my friends. DeMarcus says, this may be asking an old question. I understand Houston's situation, but why are some XFLs renaming themselves? DC Defenders was one of the popular brands. Why change it? I agree with that. I have all the DC Defenders merch all here, and I have to change it. I think it's because the Major League Baseball took the Defenders name. It's and Houston Roughnecks. The name is not a problem. It was the branding, the logo, getting in trouble with that. So, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with the DC Defenders. He says, I don't see how the USFL and XFL don't end up merging eventually, at least playing each other. I agree with that. They cannot go head to head for the next several years. That's just not possible. But they will go head to head next year. Alan says, so July 2nd, cities and logos and XFL draft pool results yet? No draft pool results yet. We have the names. Sam Just has got the names in his article. We have that in the show notes, but we don't have any kind of results or player stuff. And he says July 2nd, cities and logos. I don't think they'll do it. I have heard August time frame. Drop it just before the NFL season starts, and merch, people are buying merch. Again, remember, like I said, June and July is dead month with sports and that kind of stuff. So people are going on vacation. They are not really paying attention. Though, I'm with you guys. If the XFL drops out teams, the cities officially, again, because we already know what they are, but officially drop them really not this week, next week, or the week, then that'll be something for us to talk about on the show at 8 p.m. live every Monday, except if I can't make it due to family things, I'll go later in the night. If not, we'll do it Tuesday. All right, we'll take a commercial break and get to your social media and wrap up this show right after this. Stay tuned, my friends. One more time. What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today. And I think the app is working better now that we've tweaked some server stuff. Let's get to the question of the week at chat room. The question: which XFL coach are you most excited about? So we have Reggie Barlow, Anthony Beck, Terrell Buckley, Jim Haslett, Wade Phillips, Bob Stoops, Hines Ward, Ron Woodson are your choices. So let us know in the chat room, who are you most excited about? Let's check out what Facebook has to say. Jay says, really looking forward to see Hines Ward's approach as head coach. Looks like. Now, I think it's Rod Woodson does not have the coaching staff yet. Or is he Hines Ward, one of the Steeler guys? Rodney Lewis says Terrell Buckley, and Sundra says Bob Stoops. For me, I'm really curious. I want to know Reggie Barlow, and I'm hearing there's rumors Reggie Barlow will be in DC, which I would be excited about. Anthony Beck, I'm really interested to see how he does. I think Terrell Buckley will be a good, and Wade Phillips are good personality guys. Barlow is the guy I think I'm most excited to see because he's kind of the one that was not a former NFL player, not a former NFL head coach, but kind of like a Division II, kind of like not even at a big pro. It wasn't like he was the head coach at Notre Dame or something like that. Barlow is the guy, and I've heard a lot of high praise about Reggie Barlow, and that's why he got the opportunity. So MLFB announces Alabama Airborne coaching staff. That's right. Apparently, their MLFB is going to be playing their games in Alabama. We didn't see where they're playing in Alabama, but they have another team. Derek says, so XFL, USFL, MLFB, more leagues, but not real football. Let's just merge all of the teams' leagues, put flags on their wasties, and get on with it. Remove the Band-Aid and let football bleed to death quicker. I don't know what MLFB is. You can buy stock in the league, which that makes it kind of a unique thing for teams. I don't know if they have a TV deal. Who knows what's going on there? It's some named coaches. We'll find out there. About Bob Stoops and XFL. How about the Jay and Silent Bob? No. Jonathan and Jay Hayes on his coaching staff. That is really interesting to me. Jim Dotson says, good for Jonathan Hayes and Jay, going to miss you in St. Louis. And Robert says, awesome. I agree. I was glad to, when I saw those names, I was like, ooh, okay. Ooh, they're with Bob Stoops. The only pairing I could think, I mean, I would love to see Hayes go back to St. Louis, but he couldn't. Got to let Beck do his thing. I wonder if Stoops is like, hey, I'll do this for 2 or 3 years, and then, I'll do this for 2 or 3 years, and then I'm going to just kind of ride off in the sunset and then let the Hayes guys take over. And they learn under Bob Stoops, and they take over. We'll see. Hopefully, Jonathan Hayes, he was a tight ends coach. He was an offensive coordinator. We saw what happened in the USFL with Kirby Wilson calling the plays. So we all love Jonathan Hayes. However, if he turns out to be like Kirby Wilson calling the plays, that might end pretty quickly. On the YouTubes from our last week's show, 343 Foxden says, I cannot wait for the XFL to start. I hope that one day the XFL and USFL can merge. That's what I hope for. Would be amazing. Dustin says, Luis says, I hope San Diego could get a team. The Fleet from the AAF did really well here. Again, I could see that happening in the future, which I would be like, really, guys? I just started the USFL site, and now you couldn't emerge together. I mean, but according to Laxkin Murdoch, Rupert's son, who's in charge, they're thinking 5 to 7 years of selling franchises to home cities. 5 to 7 years. So they are like, I think they are perfectly content. I'll find out more on the street when I get out there. Check out USFL News Hub again for all our coverage. Are you going to watch? I mean, I'm definitely super excited about these games to watch. And being at the championship game will be a lot of fun. Going with friends, and we'll have maybe a little get-together. So if you're planning on being there, maybe we'll see you there. James says, this is more of a technical YouTube suggestion and less of a question. I noticed that both of your channels, XFL News Hub, USFL News Hub, have the same left. You have left the channels tab blank. You should consider adding, hey, friends of the show tab channels to include USFL Hub. I did do that. It shows like the Markcast so people can easily find them. I did do that on your suggestion. Rachel Knight Online, honestly, do what the NFL, AFF, and now USFL wouldn't and expand into the Southwest. Look at markets like El Paso, Texas, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Trust me, our area is maybe small, but fans support are nuts down here. I mean, even the turnout in Alabama, when Alabama was like, hey, we'll be great. I mean, and the tickets were dirt cheap. The juice was not there to me. I mean, you weren't selling out every night. But again, they were playing 10 home games. Oh, geez. Going with Disney, it makes me worry about the accent. What is this woke? Stop using the term woke. You're dumb when you use the term woke. It's just another sheep. Just another brick in the wall, just another sheep in the wall. I don't know. Stop using the term woke. And what does woke even mean? Other than giving other people opportunity or like being nice to other people that aren't white? Is that what the problem you have when you use the term woke? Because that's the only time that I understand what it means. Oh, this company wants to do things because about gay and lesbian. Oh, they're being woke. Oh, they want to give a kid with Down syndrome a spot on a television show. Oh, they're being woke. Like, what does that mean? Stop using the term, you Russian bots, you. James says the spring leagues and alternative football leagues are so weird. How are they going to hold information so close to the best and building hardcore spring football audience? Or are we actually fans much different than corporate sports media? You'd think we would get exact people these football leagues would want to target. I don't know. Yeah, I know. They hold it so close to the vest. It's kind of, I don't know, corporate thing. I don't get it either. I'm not sure, my friend. I'm not sure. On to the question of the day. And plus, we're getting to you guys in the chat here about the coaches you're excited about on the Instagram. Old man Wee Wee. All 8. I'm with you there. I'm excited to see all 8. Who will be the San Antonio's head coach? I think it's Hines Ward. Is that the rumor? Fred was asking. That's who. That is the rumor, I believe, is Hines Ward. On to the emails. Someone says, is Major League Football going to be on TV? Not that I know of. I haven't heard anything about that. Our Matt Lyons had an article about why the XFL should embrace the European League of Football, which he covers exclusively on CFL News Hub, because some of those global players from the ELF showed up in CFL global drafts. And, of course, Mondre London showed up in the USFL. Didn't crush it, destroy the league like he did in the European League of Football. But he says, Dan said the ELF is like the USFL and that they are bringing back the 80s IPs for marketing purpose. That is smart. The XFL and USFL and the ELF and the NFL should all have a 3-way playoff tournament with the winner. Would be totally awesome. I agree with that. But I mean, again, any team would crush the ELF team. That's for sure. And that's so hard to do. We talked about that at length with the XFL, CFL chit chatter. Amastiak says, talking about Matt Lyons' article about why the XFL should embrace the European League of Football. So I think European audiences want to watch the best and have the best play for their teams. The way that national to international tournaments and leagues are constructed allows for free agency and players across the continent and move of players and teams up and down from elite levels into communities. Let's see here. I'll put the old glasses on and do the Homer thing. An attempt to set up a European Super League in football, soccer, backfired because no one apart from the owners wants there to be no jeopardy for a team in a top flight. International soccer, this means that players don't have to move. XFL 2.0 was interesting and was covered on TV in Europe because it's its own thing for the love of football. And while the players were not at NFL level, the intention seemed to grow to something sustainable and profitable. And then who knows? With the USFL and the new XFL, the former seems to be cashed in by Fox, while 3.0 threatens to be reality TV with some football. He says, by the way, there's no European coverage of the USFL that I'm aware of, even though Comcast NBC now owns Sky in Europe. And before that, Sky's major stakeholder owned Fox. Sky has been promoters and broadcasters of choice for the NFL for years. And so them not showing the USFL indicates that they don't see a market. XFL 2.0 has shown on an ESPN co-branded channel in UK, but since ESPN sold up in Europe years ago, I think it's just a licensing deal. So we might see international stuff, and we'll have an answer for all the international things when it comes to the XFL's, TV deals and how you can watch it. We'll definitely get in on that. All right, let's take a phone call.
Hi, Mark. I love the show. I mentioned the same thing on Twitter. I just didn't know that this helped reach a wider audience. Do you think, what I'm about to say, do you think it was by design or just pure coincidence? So The Rock at the XFL, I think, made a very good decision by putting 3 teams in Texas and 1 in Florida. And if by doing that, you have half the XFL in states, and I'm trying to keep this apolitical as possible, let's be honest, everybody knows those 2 states will not shut down again. They have made it very clear. They're like, F no, we are never shutting down again. We hated that, especially Florida and Texas to an extent. And then I also realized that every single team in the XFL, even when they go to their home locations, every single team except for St. Louis is in a state with no state income tax. And by having also for this year, all the players playing out of Texas, and all the except for when they play, I know they go to their home games and everything at their home locations, but the only time they'll have to pay any type of state income tax is when they have a game in St. Louis. And do you think The Rock did that intentionally or is it just pure coincidence? Because I was thinking about, as a player, you and if you claim Texas as your home of residency or wherever, how long you're there, or any of the other home locations that you've been they get assigned to, you're going to be able to max out your paycheck a lot. And also, if you think about it, California and New York, where they took the 2 teams away from, they're some of the most heavy tax states in the U.S. So I'm just curious, do you think it was by pure design or just pure coincidence that how The Rock set it up? Because the players got their checks maxed out basically as much as they could, except for the St. Louis games. And then on top of that, if there's another pandemic of any kind, they're good to keep going because half the league is in 2 states.
All right. Oh, there we go. Hi, man. I appreciate the call. You bring up an interesting point. I didn't know about the tax implications. And again, this isn't The Rock's decision. It's, Redbird Capital, because they're the ones that have the money more than him personally. But I think Texas is a business-friendly state, and it's a large state, and it's a huge football state. Those are the 3 things. The players' paychecks, that could help things. But I think it's more Texas is a business-friendly state, and that's why they went with there. And and they could put 3 football franchises in that state and not have a worry that they wouldn't draw very well. So I think that's the reason why they picked Texas as their home hub. I mean, you look at, Tesla moving out to Texas and a lot of Californians moving out to Texas. Now, I think the reason why they skipped New York and Los Angeles is because I think taxes is part of the reason, but it's just super expensive states. And it's just super expensive and not unnecessary in a global economy You do not have to be. It was always this thing where you needed to be in New York to like kind of make it. But now we're in this kind of global connected world. I don't think it's imperative that you have to have home games in New York for it to matter, because it was always like, I mean, if you look at like the stars, like if Michael Strahan played for Denver, do you think he would be Michael and Kelly or whatever he was on, or is he still on? Bart Scott played in Baltimore. He played what, 2 seasons with the Jets, and now he's like a star. So you know what I mean, like a media star. So that kind of thing plays a factor, like being in New York and playing in New York, because it's just a big state. But I think the expense at this juncture is not worth it. And like I said before, I really think that in the future, the XFL could return to New York and LA once it establishes itself. The way I could see it is, you just go through year 1. Let's say it's a smashing success. They're making money hand over fist, and they're like, all right, let's move up the timeline and let's add 4 teams. We'll bring back New York, we'll bring back LA, and then we will shoot for Toronto and Mexico as well. Or in year 2, they go, okay, we're going to add 2 teams. We're going to add New York and LA back to the fold, which is going to be more expensive. Or do they say, hey, we're going to add Mexico and Toronto as year 2, and then year 3 bring back, who knows? But to really keep the juice flowing, and this is something the USFL, and I've said this, what the USFL needs to do is to make sure that next season they cannot do all of it in one location. And remember, the championship game and the playoff games all would have been played in Birmingham if it wasn't for, the World Olympics, whatever is going, World Games or something that's going on there. If the USFL does the same thing again, I think their numbers are going to get even worse, because there's just no juice for just playing all your games in one location. I've said the USFL needs to play just once in each team's home location. Just do it once, and you'll see the juice flowing. If the XFL comes out and we have our 8 teams, and people are really excited, and they're like, we're going to add a new team or 2 new cities every year. Like if fans knew that there was a possibility that they could get a home franchise, and fans could participate in something in order to get a home franchise and excitement or whatever it is, that will keep them connected to the product going forward, because they'll be like, well, I'm going to watch the XFL because there's a chance there could be a franchise near me. I mean, that's the problem with the USFL. It's just it's a football television show, which gets great ratings, but that's all it is. So I think the XFL, I'm totally fine with the 8 teams the way they're doing it now, because I'm like, I don't want you guys to overtax yourself going into the next year. But I could see LA and New York returning. But, definitely in year 2, you want to create buzz, and you're like, hey, we're going to add 2 new franchises. If you announce that like at the championship game, or like, just before the playoffs, you're like, hey, things have been going great. We're super excited, and stay tuned over the summer because we're going to add 2 new franchises. Boom. That's it. People are interested. Timothy says, talking about the new hires, he says, so the old head coach from St. Louis, Jay Hayes, is the defensive coordinator of Dallas, WTF. Greg Williams and Ron Zook are also defensive coordinators. Meanwhile, in St. Louis is an amateur hour, including the head coach. Why wouldn't you send Mr. Hayes back to St. Louis and build the momentum and fan support that was best in league in 2020? I don't know. I mean, I wonder if the evaluators felt that Hayes was not ready yet. That's my only guess, maybe, as to why that potentially could happen. Jim says, always, hey, Mark, as always, the hub rocks. Finally, the XFL is making consistent news, and that's a good thing. Hoping the Battlehawks will prosper under the new inexperienced staff on the XFL on paper. That being, according to XFL News Hub Mike Mitchell, my prediction for the first Battlehawk home game is 57,217 in attendance. Save this email for reference, my friend. All right, so on our June 20th episode, Jim says 57,217. That has to be the first game of the season. Then you could go week 2. You can have something in San Antonio. DC, all these things. So I think that's a good number. Also, I wanted to be sure that Battlehawk Jim, is considered part of the OG of XFL News Hub. Battlehawk Jim, of course. He says, God bless. God bless you, Jim, my friend. Appreciate the email. And let's get to a final phone call. 57,000 would be spectacular. What's up?
Hey, this is Jared, wanting to know on News Hub Fantasy, it's playoff time, if I'm not mistaken. How is it going to look on the website for the playoffs? I know that, if I'm not mistaken, 4 teams get into the playoffs out of the 8. Is there a look that you're going to go for, like just a tournament bracket look, or like, just head-to-head display on the website? I'm just curious how you are going to lay out the website for it when it's playoff time for USFL Fantasy, which is, I think, week 9, week 10. Thank you. And then also another question, if the people that are eliminated, can you pick up their players to use for the next week in the waiver wire? I'm not sure, but thanks again for the website at newshubfantasy.com.
All right. Appreciate the phone call. So, yeah, we actually had the here we are. We actually had completed a full season of fantasy football for the USFL and USFL News Hub. We picked the 4 top teams with head-to-head leagues. You get the 4 top teams because there's no schedule for points-only league. It's just points all the way to the end. So we finally had that all fixed out and finished. So, but yeah, we'll be having News Hub Fantasy Football for CFL, working on getting all that up to par, and then we will have it for the XFL. So it's all been kind of build up for the XFL season to take place, but we did finish News Hub Fantasy for USFL, so we're excited about that. And that's kind of how it works. So the 4 top teams, a head-to-head, will go, and that's how it kind of works. All right, my friends, finally on the chat, Alan says, any draft pool results? No. Philip says, may the force be with you. Yes, my friends, may the force be with you. Yes. Alan says, do you know when they will have a draft pool, or is it too early? They're building the draft pool right now. We'll probably get something maybe in September or October of the draft pool. They might not say anything at all. Let's see. Rangers, King, 669. Barlow did also coach FCS, and he's pretty good. Yeah, I'm excited about him. It's awake, not woke people don't know proper English. Oh, okay. And somebody says, people do not know Disney owns ABC and ESPN. Yes, we know that ABC is part of Disney owns ABC and ESPN. So I don't know what you're talking about there. We all know that. If you follow this channel, you would know that, my friends. All right. Great to be back hanging out with you. Remember, if you want to be the show, part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts to record an MP3 or video on your phone, and we'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692. Send us a message. Question of the week. Who do you think, what coach are you excited to see about in the XFL? Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on next week's show, and you can watch us live, XFL Week in Review at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday on the YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, my friends. All right, it's been fun hanging out with you. Thank you for everybody in the chat for hanging out, even though we showed up a little late. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Help spread the word about the XFL. We're coming in hot. Lots of things going on. We have the Hawaiian Showcase. I'm sure The Rock will be at. That will be the big news for next week. And maybe do we get cities before the USFL Championship game? We'll have to find out if the XFL will swing that punch out there. Be interesting to find out. But I will be there at the USFL Championship game, and I'm super excited about that. And I'll report back to you on how everything went when I was there. All right, my friends, that's it for me, folks. God bless. Hey, be nice to each other out there, okay? We all one love. Jesus was the most hippie dude out there as far as peace and love everywhere. He was not a angry dude. He was, and it's hard to live up to that standard of how he was peace and love and loved everybody. And we just need to get back that way in this country and also around the world. And also remember that sports are fun. That's what happens, my friend. Sports are fun. This is supposed to be fun, not a political statement. Everywhere I go, people want to talk political, their beliefs, or who cares? No one cares. Sports is supposed to be fun. We're having fun. God bless you all out, folks. Hey, and anyway, I always talk about my religious beliefs and whatever I think is. It's something that I will not afraid to talk about. If you ever want to talk about it, or just hit me an email, podcast@XFL News Hub. Would love to talk to you about my journey and maybe your potential journey to something different in your life, because it certainly have changed me as a person. All right, my friends, that's it for me, folks. God bless. I will see you all next week. Be nice to each other. God bless, and I will see you all. You know what I say every time. Later.